Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Q&Play, my monthly Q&A series where I answer your questions in a rambly, unscripted format. Also, it happens to be Star Wars Day, hence why I'm playing a Star Wars game, probably. But anyway, question from XionKuriyama: what was your first original character? Bonus for Star Wars Day: what color lightsaber would you want, and what kind of lightsaber? I know this might be surprising, but as a kid, I didn't write a lot of original characters. A lot of my RPG time was spent playing World of Warcraft, and in that game, I didn't really engage in any sort of role-playing or story building for my character. Like, I just played through the quests. I enjoyed the quests and the stories they told, but I never really engaged in writing an original story for my character. Like, it was just my character going through the stories I had experienced in the actual game. But when I started playing D&D, I started realizing, like, oh my god, I can write my own characters now. And it was like a breath of fresh air. It was crazy. Now, of course, my characters were very derivative, but my first ever characters that I wrote for my D&D campaign were Crawford and Dataya Cyrillish. Crawford, the brother, is this political schemer, and Dataya, the sister, is more of a warlord leading a powerful army from across the sea. I really like these two characters. Basically, they both have the same goal. They want to take back their mother's homeland as their own, take back their rule, and break down the callous empire that ruled there. The campaign takes place in the aftermath of the brutal imperial collapse caused by these two siblings, and the party need to find their way through the chaos and try to establish some level of peace, and also unravel a deep demonic conspiracy that has sprung up in the wake of the Empire's fall. You know, basic D&D stuff. These two characters ended up being very pivotal to the story of the campaign, which I might go into someday, but yeah, for now, I'll just say that I really enjoyed these two characters, the party really enjoyed these two characters, I really enjoyed writing them, and I think that they worked out really well. As for what color lightsaber I would want, the only time I played as a force-wielding character in a game where I had the option not to was during Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO, which, by the way, if you haven't tried it out, it's a pretty good game if you can make it through the sort of bland MMO RPG gameplay that you're going to see in a lot of MMO RPGs. It's pretty fun, and the story is really good for all the classes. Every single class has their own story, and all of them are very well done. But yeah, I played as the Sith Inquisitor, and she was awesome. She was a great character. I really liked playing as her, especially since she was super snarky, and her lightsaber was red, so I guess that's what I would have to go with. Although, if I had the option, I would take an epic starfighter and a cool blaster over a lightsaber any day. Question from Zachary Sieg: favorite season of the year? Autumn, easily. Best weather? It's the season of my birthday, and it has such a pleasant name. Autumn. It's just nice to say. But anyway, question from Plantmaster222. What are your opinions on transformation/alteration of player characters? For example, lycanthropy, vampirism, having a ghost share your body if that counts, etc. These spooky transformations are totally up my alley, although I've never made a character nor an NPC that takes advantage of them. Actually, I did make a vampire NPC for my latest D&D campaign, which you can learn more about in Campaign Diary. But anyway, point is that yeah, lycanthropy, vampirism, ghost possession, those are all really cool things for Dungeons & Dragons. And there are mechanics for all of them, as seen in the latest Critical Role campaign. All of those things are in the latest Critical Role campaign. We've got an amazing vampiric character in the form of Laudna, and an amazing lycanthrope in the form of, spoiler, Chetney, Travis Willingham's character. Both of those are great examples of how to do dark transformations right. Laudna is awesome. She doesn't just use her transformation in combat, her terrifying visage. It's an ability, I don't know if that's the exact name, but essentially she becomes an even creepier version of herself. However, it's not just used in combat, she also uses it outside of combat to scare off guards. There was a hilarious scene when she used it to convince a guard that the building was haunted and to get him out of the way of the party, and it was really cool. I think stuff like that is really fun and can add a lot to D&D as long as you got a DM who knows how to handle it, and a player who knows how to use it in an entertaining and fun way that's great for everyone at the table. My favorite part of this is party roleplay. Revealing that there's something more about a player character is always fun. It's always a fun little twist, as seen when Chetney revealed his lycanthropy to the group. It was an epic moment and will be remembered as one of the best moments in that campaign. Basically, it's cool. Go for it. Question from Statboosts 27. Do you have any music you're partial to playing during sessions? My DM loves using Monster Hunter and Hollow Knight music. We spend like half the session just grooving. Mate, I'm totally with you on that. I love using music during my games. It's a central part of them, in fact. I spend a lot of time mixing music and making playlists for every single enemy type, so every enemy type has a specific playlist, and every region has their own ambient tracks that fits with the area. It's so fun, and it makes the game way more immersive. Destiny is big here. Destiny carries when it comes to the combat music, but in terms of the ambient music, I take that stuff from just wherever I think it fits. It could come from The Witcher, it could come from Skyrim. World of Warcraft is huge when it comes to ambient music. A lot of that music is really, really good and fits the setting really well. I made a whole video about using music during your D&D games. You can check it out in the cards. If I remember, I probably won't. Question from DeadLucky32. If the DM gives you a cursed magic item that heavily limits your character, would you blame the player for attuning to the item or the DM for giving it to the player? I ask because I'm in a situation like this and the item can't just be removed with remove curse or dispel magic. It forced me to use this dagger and severely limits me. But I'm curious what you think. Okay, first and foremost, it's no one's fault, really. Like, no one's a bad person for picking up a magic item or putting it in the game. The DM is supposed to give you dangers. However, I also think the DM should give you a solution, because if the DM didn't allow you to figure out whether or not this item is cursed, I also think it's kind of silly for the DM to not allow you to, like, remove the curse. And now I do think removing curses should be a more arduous process than just cast spell, done. Same thing with resurrecting people from the dead. I hate that in 5e. You can just resurrect someone from the dead with a little bit of gold and a 3rd level spell. I think that's kind of lame. I like Matt Mercer's approach with the rituals for resurrecting the dead, though sometimes I'll extend resurrecting the dead into an entire side quest because I think death should be really, really impactful. But in terms of removing curses, a good old-fashioned ritual with side effects and such can be really, really good. Just a minor encounter to remove the curse. Doesn't take too long, maybe 30 minutes at most, but just something to give curses a little bit more oomph. But the fact that the DM didn't allow you to remove it with remove curse or dispel magic seems kind of silly to me. I don't know how you got this curse, but yeah, it's not your fault for just going, oh yeah, magic item, let's attune to it, and then the DM's like, haha, it's cursed now. It's no one's fault, it's just part of the danger of the game. But, of course, at the same time, there should be some kind of solution to this problem. Question from Mr. WD. Do you have any creator horror stories? I think you mentioned it in the previous video. I did, and I do. Now, do I want to talk about this? Yeah, let's talk about this. So, I want to establish this. Guys, there is no one at fault here. There's no villain. There's no bad guy. This is just a situation of circumstance and some really dumb decision making on my part. I am telling the story, though, because it was disappointing, and I do think it qualifies as a creator horror story, though maybe not that severe. It's not like something horrible happened that I didn't recover from. It was just something that went sour, went south, and it was disappointing. That's all, nothing more than that. Basically, there's no one at fault here. Now, let's get into the story. So, if you guys are unaware, last year I did a show where I would interview D&D content creators. And of course, for that show, I would send out emails to a bunch of D&D creators to see if they were interested in coming on. Now, I got left unread a lot, and that is okay. That's completely normal, especially for a creator of my size trying to network with creators that were much bigger in the D&D space. That is perfectly normal, and I'm okay with that. Of course, later on into 2021, entering into quarter 3, quarter 4 of 2021, the show was going really, really strong. We had some awesome guests on the show. We had Crit Crab, we had Momo, we had One Shot Questers, which was so awesome. He was such a cool dude to have on the show. We had Runesmith, which was also great. I thought that these interviews were great, and I was kind of riding high. I was happy. I was excited. I felt like I was taking the show somewhere. Okay, all this being said, in October, I reach out to a creator I have wanted to have on the show for a while. They are a YouTuber who I've seen work with other smaller channels, and I thought that this was a good opportunity. I thought by this point I had built up a good resume for my show. I had interviewed multiple people that this creator had worked with in the past, and I thought that might lend me some credibility. And it did. The creator's agent reached out to me after I sent that email and said, hey, we're not available right now, but in January, we open up bookings for appointments. So reach out in January and let's get this ball rolling. Paraphrasing, of course. I was really hyped when they told me this. I mean, this is a big interview for me. This could really, really help the show. This could be big for my networking opportunities. This was an opportunity I could not pass up. I responded enthusiastically. I said, hey, all good. January is fine with me. Now, thinking in my head, that's a really long wait. That's an entire fiscal quarter, which, yeah, I'm okay with, but I was aware that was a long wait, and I was worried that they would, forget about me, so I sent an email saying, hey, I will make sure to reach out in January, affirming that, yes, I am interested in doing this, let's go. Paraphrasing, again, of course. So, I get to December, and an announcement is made by the creator that kind of catches me off guard. The creator announces that they are going to be taking a break in January, and my head is spinning. January is when we were thinking of getting this thing scheduled, so now what do we do? The creator's taking a break, so obviously I don't think we're going to be able to do this in January. Now what? At this moment, I had a decision to make. I did not make the right one. I decided not to immediately reach out to the agent to check if we were still good. I should have, but I didn't. My reasoning was that the creator is taking a break, so I should respect that. Ignoring, of course, the fact that the agent's job is to answer emails and handle communications for this creator, and the agent is most likely not taking a break as well, so why didn't I just check up? It wouldn't have hurt to just check, but I didn't check, and very likely this mistake led to the situation in question. So January comes by, we're in mid-January now, and I realize my mistake. At this point, I have realized that I should have reached out much earlier, and I have made a pretty critical error. Most likely, spots have already been booked, and I have missed my chance. We're probably, almost definitely not going to get this thing done in January. I already knew that. We're probably not going to get this thing done in February, March. We might be waiting until April, but again, I'm patient. I was okay with that. I reach out to the agent and say, hey, name's Crispy. I emailed you in October, blah, 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 blah. Paraphrasing. I reintroduce who I am because I'm aware it's been a while. I end off the email by saying, hey guys, I am aware that you guys are really busy. If you're busy, no problem. We can schedule this thing for later in the year. I think that's perfectly fine. I am excited to do this. I hope to hear from you soon. Blah, 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 blah. The agent responds a couple days later and says, hey, unfortunately, and I knew that hell was about to break loose when I read that word, unfortunately, we don't have any slots in January, February, March, April. In fact, we don't have any slots in the entire year. Paraphrasing, of course, they didn't say it like that. But yeah, they told me that they're not available all year, and the limit for guest appearances were also booked for the next few quarters. So from what I understood, not only 2022, but the first few quarters of 2023 as well. Basically, this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to lie, guys. This was very disappointing, and it hurt. It hurt a lot when I read that, because I felt like, I don't know what I felt like. I felt disappointed. I mean, I thought this was going to happen. I genuinely, really believed for months that this was going to happen. I didn't do any interviews from October to January because I thought this was going to be the big one. It didn't end up happening, of course, and my anxious mind and spiraling thoughts went to a bunch of terrible possibilities for why it didn't work out. And yeah, that was not good for me, and that's obviously on me. I shouldn't be thinking like that. I always default to the worst, but the worst is probably not the case. Real life, probably what happened was they are booked, and I missed my shot. I didn't reach out when I should have reached out. I made a mistake, and this is on me. The lesson I took away from this is just don't get too carried away in the hype, right? That initial email in October, yeah, they told me that they could maybe get the ball rolling in January, but, I mean, that's a long wait. October to January, so much can change. I should not have gotten so excited. I should have been skeptical. I should have gone into this incredibly skeptical, but I didn't. And when January came and the news was dropped on me, I was not ready. I should have been, but I wasn't. Another big thing is just check up on the status of projects, especially with that long of a timeline. You need to check up on the people you're collaborating with because, frankly, I am almost certain that these people forgot about me within a week of my email, and that's perfectly okay. I forget about shit way faster than that. In the aftermath of this, I decided to take a break from collaborations. As for the reason why, obviously this is part of it, but there were a lot of reasons why, not least of which collaborations took a lot of time. But yeah, I took a temporary break from collaborations, but they will be returning. Don't want to make promises as to when, but I do have something lined up. I still watch this creator's content. For all I know, they didn't even see my email, so yeah, I still watch their content and still enjoy it to this day. And that's the end of my story. I hope it was at least a little bit engaging and a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look into the trials and tribulations of running a YouTube channel. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, then please do leave a like. I know this was a bit more rambly and ranty than previous episodes, but that's the nature of Q&Play, a series where I get all sorts of questions. If you guys want to see more of my content, then you can check out our RPG Horror Stories series, where we cover the best of the worst of Dungeons and Dragons. And while you're there in the card, subscribe to Crispy's Tavern to get more of our content right as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own questions or thoughts, go down to the comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment just like the simulations to reference the game I'm playing in the background and to let me know you made it to the end of the video. In essence, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you all next time. Farewell.